Hello there! Welcome to this drum lesson for XTAL by Aphex Twin from the great album Selected Ambient Works, which I'm probably going to be doing quite a few tracks from. As you may have seen from the other Aphex Twin video, I love learning these kind of programmed electronic patterns because they kind of make you think about the drums in a slightly different way. So before we get into it, I just want to tell you about my Patreon. Don't know if you know, but I now have a Patreon account, and if you go there you will now be able to get my weekly YouTube videos a day earlier on Patreon. Wow. So they'll come out on a Saturday 24 hours earlier than YouTube. So if you want to get my videos a bit earlier, head over there. And there's a bunch of, you can sign up for free, or there's some different tiers on there where if you're feeling generous, even for $1 a month you can get some special perks, or $2 or $5, or I have a drum course up there as well, which is only $10 a month, and you get access to over 3.5 hours. What? 3.5 hours of a drum course. So, which will be ever expanding. So please go check out my Patreon. Anyway, let us get into this XTAL tune. So, let's break this down basically. Let's have a look at the intro first. So the intro is basically a bunch of 16th notes. We've got kick drums on all of the quarter notes, and we're opening the hat on all the ands. Now when I was playing it, I was sort of doing the first hit of the 16th note on the ride, but let's just try it on the hand to hand on the hi-hats. We're doing the ands of each beat on the open, so that'll be on the right hand. So you kind of don't play the last 16th note, but again, this is quite interesting. When you would program that, as a drummer you wouldn't play the last 16th note, but when it's programmed it's probably in there. So that would sound more like this. But I do actually think there is a gap there. So, and as I say, I've been playing it. This is all approximations, as in the rhythms are correct, but the sound sources are obviously slightly different because this is a program pattern and the drum sounds are different. So I'm just assigning sounds that I think kind of work. So this kind of worked to do the first hit of each bar with that intro on the ride. Okay, there I kind of changed to adding the extra one, but I think there is actually a gap in there. So, okay, and then into this main groove, which is basically going through the whole thing. So let's have, we've kind of got two versions of this groove. So like the straight ahead 8th note version of it, which I'll play now and then we'll break it down. So that's like this. So what we're doing there is we're doing kicks on the first and last 16th note of beat 1, and then a snare on beat 2, and then a kick on 2 and. So beats 1 and 2 are this. So yeah, as I say, kicks on 1, and then the last 16th note of beat 1, 1 ah. So that'll fall in between the hats because that's on 1 and. And then beat 2 is just 2 and. Okay, and then beat 3, we've got just a hi-hat on beat 3, and then on 3 and is the next snare drum. So okay, so beat 3 is just, but we've got an extra kick on the last 16th note of beat 3. Just straight away after that backbeat on 3 and. So the whole but beats 1, 2 and 3. Okay, that last kick is on 3 ah. Yeah, beat 4 is hi-hat on beat 4, snare on the second 16th note, 4E, and then a bass drum and a hi-hat on beat 4 and. Okay, so that's beat 4. 4E and. So beats 1, so beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, and then beat 4. So the whole thing together . And obviously when it goes round, you got the kick on 3, 4 and. Yeah, and then on 1. So it's kind of like, if it's not a double kick at all, it's just boom, 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 round to the 1. So that's basically the main groove as 8th notes. However, if you want to take this one step further, which I did, is that there's this really cool, and it's kind of part of the pattern, but it's kind of like, it's kind of separated from it, so it's not really an open hi-hat, but it kind of sounds cool as an open hi-hat, is to put in these open hi-hats. So let's have a look at where they're falling. So they're falling on beat 1 and beat 2 and beat 3, and then on the last 16th note of beat 3. So let's have a look at them being on beats 1, 2 and 3 first. So they're just on all the downbeats. Okay, so like I said, so beat 1 would be this, with the open hat, and you close it straight away. And beat 2 is opening on the snare. That's beat 2. Beat 3 is opening on its own. So beat 3. So this is where it gets tricky. So to add in this kind of open hi-hat thing, the last open hi-hat is on the last 16th note, beat 3. So it's falling with the kick drum. Now, to make this easier to play and to make it to flow, we stop playing the constant 8th notes and we change the hi-hat to land on the last 16th note of beat 3 instead of on 3 and. So it's a 16th note later basically. So it's like this. which kind of makes sense to me as a drummer, because it's landing with the bass drum. So essentially your hi-hat pattern is like you're playing open on 1, you're playing the and, open on 2, you're playing the and, open on 3, and then open again on 3. So the last 16th note beat 3, and then you don't play another hi-hat till 4 and, which again is with the bass drum. I'm going to include the transcription written out so this kind of makes more sense. So yeah, basically beat 3 and 4 is where it gets a little bit tricky because you're slightly changing your hi-hat. So your hi-hats are going 3, 3 and then 4 and, which kind of makes sense when you're playing it with the groove because it's falling with the bass drum on the last 16th note beat 3 and then the bass drum on 4 and. So the hi-hat's kind of doing this. Quite tricky. If you were to do that pattern but without doing the opens, so you're kind of, yeah, so that kind of the same thing, but you're accenting where those opens are on 1, 2, 3, 3 and the rest aren't. Again, a really, really lovely pattern, and again, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like a lot of drummers would just, they would kind of be pretty happy with just going. But no, but then it's like another layer of the accented pattern. Just makes you start to think about when you're writing a groove or playing a drum part, like there's so many things we can do with dynamics of what you're doing on the hi-hat, taking stuff away from what you're doing on the hi-hat, stuff you're doing on the snare drum. It doesn't always have to be straight eighth notes, you know, and it's just it just gets your mind thinking about other options and other ways that you can make quite a straightforward-ish groove even more interesting and even more groovy and even more like individual, because that's kind of the goal. Well, that's for me, like I want to, even though I'm playing loads of other people's songs, it's kind of bringing that, trying to soak that information in and trying to get my own sound and try and achieve something individual that if people heard it they'd be like, oh, that's, you know, whoever, so me or someone else. But yeah, well, I hope that was enjoyable, hope it wasn't too tricky. As I said, I'll put the transcription in the track, like in the videos, hopefully somewhere down below, so you can sort of see it. It might make a bit more sense. Thanks for watching again, and remember, go and check out my Patreon if you can, and follow me on there. I'll be so appreciative. Thank you very much, and I'll see you very soon.